When creating a RichCast, something may make sense to you when you're playtesting, but it might not to someone else. This can lead to users having trouble experiencing your RichCast, and it may cause them to lose interest or get frustrated. Luckily, there are a few helpful steps you can follow to avoid running into common issues. These will ultimately help the flow of your project and make it engaging to someone experiencing it for the first time. Use intent words with variants. When putting in intent words and choices, make sure to include variants of terms you are putting in. For example, if you enter past, please also enter past. If you enter she, also include she's. If you enter happen, also include happened. Including different options of each word will allow your audience more flexibility with their answers and enable them to progress through your RichCast much easier. Suggest, with natural language, what you want someone to answer. Often writers have the challenge of scripting conversations that sound natural. In RichCast, you need to consider any conversational dialogue from the perspective of how someone may answer. It's a different way of writing conversation, but really do practice answering your dialogue with many different answers. Everyone is likely to respond differently, and you need to anticipate the different ways of saying basically the same thing. Show how to elegantly catch voiced answers that don't conform using anything. Sometimes people will answer your questions with an unexpected answer. It's inevitable. While we encourage you to ask questions that steer the conversation in a specific direction, you can also use the anything expression to catch voice answers that don't conform. Think about how you can factor this into your RichCast whenever you have a question. It's much more engaging than the system telling a user it hasn't understood their command. Trust me on that one. Maybe you can bring back a player who is messing around by calling them out for not playing along. That'd get their attention. Try to avoid using names with single syllables or awkward pronunciations, as the voice recognition will struggle with these. Interestingly, the more natural a person talks, the higher accuracy of recognition, as the system can tune into their voices. So it's good to get players to give more than single word answers. Use junctions to organise your projects. When creating your RichCast, you will realise very quickly that the tiles will begin to build up. While it can be very tempting to attach multiple tiles together from a number of different angles, this can quickly become overwhelming and very difficult to navigate. Functionally, these projects will still work the same way, but one of them will be much easier to understand while editing. So avoid entanglement and spaghetti type arrangements and use junctions to ensure everything is laid out clearly without lines crossing over tiles that will ultimately get you lost. Use distinct voices to differentiate characters. When using AI voices, we recommend avoiding the use of similar voices for different characters. You don't want any barriers between your audience member and the RichCast. Choosing a distinct voice for each character will allow your audience to easily follow what's happening. Avoid long monologues. Keep active participation. We know that writing is a lot of fun, and we definitely encourage you to flesh out the worlds and RichCasts that you create. However, we do recommend avoiding long monologues. Remember, this is an interactive format and relies on player participation. Put yourself in the shoes of a first-time player and bear in mind their attention span. This is why asking questions, using logic, images, music, and all the other features are so important. Separate descriptions and don't repeat them. Show how to use variables to avoid repetition. Descriptions are important when setting a scene, but they aren't fun to listen to on repeat and could hurt your engagement if they are continually repeated. We recommend that you break up your descriptions into separate tiles where possible, especially if a question is being asked at the end of a long segment of dialogue. This means that if a player gets stuck and the scene repeats, they won't have to experience the full description again, as RichCast will load the last action, in this case the question asked. We also encourage the use of logic to create new descriptions where possible. If your character has visited a location before, use logic to indicate that, shorten descriptions on second visits, or add new information that wasn't available before. Think about what graphics are going to be displayed too. You don't want your description of a scene just describing the picture they are looking at. It needs to complement it. Hopefully these tips have got you off to a good start with RichCast, but if you do have any more questions, here are our contact details. Join us on Discord, send us a tweet, or send us a community email. We're here to help, and we really just want to help get you started making the best RichCast possible.